Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today in today's tutorial I'll be sharing with you all how to make this baggy shorts. You see right here, it has these two sides cargo pocket, it has a front side pocket, and it also has a back pocket. It has belt loops as well, which is totally optional. So please, for this waist area which I pinned, it's actually because the waist of my dummy is tinier than the actual waist of the human, okay, which I used in the drafting of this particular shirt, right? So if this sounds like something you're interested in learning how to make, please continue watching. Don't also forget to subscribe to my channel, hit on that like button, and also share this video. So let's just get started with what we have for today. So right here I have my ruler and my thread is golden brown in color and my iron zipper. So I set that all aside and get started by folding this my jean fabric into two. So I used 1.5 yards to achieve this particular shot right here. So now I folded, I'm trying to measure out my thigh circumference divided by 2 plus 5 inches extra. That means I'm trying to get 18 inches because my thigh circumference is 26 inches divided by 2 is 13 plus 5 inches is 18 inches. So when I measured it out and it was up to 18 inches on fold, so I moved right to imputing my body measurement. So at that top part, I'll be considering that part as my joining allowance to the band of my short, right? So now because I'll be adding a band of 2 inches to my short, that means I'll be subtracting 2 inches from all my measurements, which I'll be taking right here. So my 2 inches placed from that half an inch I told you I'll be using as my joining to my waistband. I marked 9 inches, which is my hip length. I marked 11 inches, which is my crotch length. 22.5 inches, which is my short length, plus extra 2 inches, which will be for the hemming. So all these lines are extended all these points. Now from the folded edge of my fabric on that point, I started marking 5 inches. So I'm going to mark 5 inches till I get to the full length of this my shorts, and now use my ruler and connect this point into a straight line. So having done this, now I'm going to come to that part which I already told you initially that is my waistline. So I'm just going to rule a line from there so that you can understand what I'm doing right here properly. So the first line is my waistline, the second one is my hip line, my crotch line, and my full short length. So I'll come to that point, that line which I made visible, which is my waistline. I'm going to divide my waist circumference by 4, and right there I have 8 inches. So I made that point right there, and on my hip line, which is the second line, I divided my hip circumference by 4, and I'll mark what I got right there. So please, all these markings, I'm starting from that 5 inches line towards the right side. Okay, so you see I placed my tape on that 5 inches line towards the right side. So I did the same thing on my waistline and also my hip line. So I'll connect these 2 points from my waistline to my hip line, as you can see right here. So I'll extend the line on my hip line down to this other line, which is the third line, which is my crotch line. Okay, so now on my crotch line, I'm going to take my thigh circumference divided by 2. So my thigh circumference is 26 inches divided by 2 is 13 inches. So because this is a baggy short, I actually added half of an inch extra. All right, because I want it to be free on my lap, right? So when I take this measurement now, I'm going to place it and make sure that I exceed, like I pass that 5 inches line. So I exceeded and marked towards the center front of my folded fabric, as you can see right there. Okay, so now from that my crotch line, I came up by 1.5 inches because I'm trying to create my curve. So now I connected this 1.5 inches to that 13.5 inches point I have right there on that point. So I hope everything right here is clear. So I'm going to measure out everything I have right here and divide it into 2 equal halves. So I got the middle, and I'm going to rule a straight line this way to get to the full length of my short. So now all I have on my crotch is 13.5 inches. So I'm just going to subtract 1 inch from there to mark 12 inches on my full short length by placing 6 inches on that middle line or our grain line and mark 12 inches. Okay, so after that, now go ahead and connect all of these points together from my crotch line to my full short length. So you just cut out everything because allowance is added to the back part of our short or trouser and not usually to the front part. Okay, so now after cutting all of this is what I have. Placed my already front cut out short panel on another folded fabric. So you're going to leave spaces all around it for the adding of your allowances. Okay, so on the crotch area I started marking 1 inch all the way like this, as you can see. So from beneath that crotch I started marking 2 inches. So I'll mark it to my short full length and I'll connect this way as I've marked. So on the hip side I'm going to mark 1 inch again to my full short length. So I'll mark it to the end of my full short length, as you can see right here, and I'll also connect all of these dots at the top of my waist. Just on that point I'm going to go up by 2 inches. All right, so I'll go up by 2 inches and now make a slant connection to that 1 inch which is on the hip side on my short. So you can see how I did this, and I made sure that that 1 inch started exactly from the waist of the front part of my short. So having done this, this is all for this particular thing of the shorts. Like, we are done drafting for our short pants. So 1 inch on the crotch, 2 inches from beneath the crotch, 1 inch at the side on the hip, then 2 inches from the waist on top. Okay, so I just went ahead to cut out everything just the same way I've drafted, right? So now I want to fix or cut out for my pocket. So I have to get the two front parts of my short and arrange it properly. And on the hip side I'll start off by marking 7 inches this way and taking up that 2 inches up. Okay, so I marked 7 inches and I'm going to come in this way by 2 inches and I'll connect these 2 points together. So this is a bit fast. Yes, I'll be pinning a link to the tutorial on how I gave a detailed process on how to cut and fix your pocket to your pants. Okay, so there's nothing to worry about. It's very detailed. It will be my comment section, right? So now after cutting for my pockets, I will just shift this one side so that I can cut out my actual pocket for the side. So for the length is 9 inches and the size and everything, and I'll go ahead to place my shorts on it. So all this will be posted in my comment section, because if I'm to do all of this right here, this tutorial will be longer than this. Okay, so now to cut out for my cargo pockets, I folded my fabric into 2. So I measured out on fold. I actually wanted to have 13 inches, but firstly I marked 14 inches, but after cutting out I felt like this was too wide, so I had to reduce it to 13 inches, which I just did right here. Okay, so now I'll go ahead now and cut out. So when I cut out, for the length is 10 inches. So for the wideness I marked 13 inches, and for the length I marked 10 inches. So I'll connect all of this and now cut out. Okay, so I had to retake the measurement to ensure that I didn't exceed what I actually wanted. Okay, so I'll separate this to have 2 pieces all together, and I notched that widest part, which is the 13 inches part. So I want to draft that for my flap, and I marked 10 inches and for the wideness, and then 3 inches for the height of my flap. Okay, so after connecting all of these points like this, I'll go ahead now and cut it out. So after cutting this out, I'll also go ahead and label it the flap. So it's actually the part that will be covering the pocket of our cargo pocket actually, sorry. So for the zipper fly, I marked 2 inches wide and 10 inches long. So I'm going to connect in a rectangular manner this way. So I'm going to fold this into 2 because I want to have 2 of this. Okay, so when I'm done cutting, I'll just separate it. All right, so after cutting I separated it, as you can see right here. So one is in a rectangular shape, but the other one I'm going to make it circular by curvy by coming up by 2 inches and making a curve this way. All right, so I have 2 zipper flyers. One is in a rectangular manner and the other one has a little curve at the ends. So now I'll proceed to cut out all of this piece I've cut out on my paper, on my fabric. So I folded into 2, then from the top part I folded again because I want to have 2 pieces of this. Okay, so I placed this part, I labeled my flap, and at the ends there I added just half of an inch. Okay, and I separated this at the side. So for my zip fly, for this one that has this rectangular shape, I folded into two and cut out. Okay, then for that other side that has a curve, I'm not going to fold. I'll just spread out my fabric and pin and now cut out all around. So I also have a detailed tutorial on how to cut and fix your zipper fly, in case this might be a little bit fast, but if you are good with this, that's okay. So the next is to cut out for our back pocket for our trouser. So I'll mark 6 inches this way, and for the length I'll also mark 6 inches. All right, so this is like a square. Now I'll cut it out into 4. So I'm doing all of this, and I'll also go ahead to label later because the pockets we have here are kind of much while cutting out. Okay, so now from the two edges at that point I went up by 1 inch. So I'll get the middle of this pocket, and I'm going to connect that 1 inch this way into a slanting manner to that middle of this my pocket, and I'll separate it as well. So this is what I have as my back pocket. So I went ahead now to write out all of these pockets on a piece of paper and now pin it to the fabric. So this is for us not to get confused. So altogether we are having our back pocket, our front side pockets, our cargo pocket, and our zipper fly. So in total the pockets we have right here is 3. Okay, then our zipper flyer is 2, and our flap for covering the top part of our cargo pocket is 1. So I hope you can see and understand everything I've done so far. So I'm going to keep all of this aside and start sewing. Okay, so here is the right side of my shorts, and I'm just going to start joining. I'll join the flyers or zipper flyer and also fix my pocket. Okay, so I've fixed my pocket and I've top stitched on my pocket. So I just want to show you all something right here. So when you must have fixed your pocket, which I'll also dropping a detailed tutorial to that on my comment section, you are going to run a decorative stitch or this design. You know, this our already made jean pants that we wear. We always have these double stitches on top of them with an off color. So that is what I'm trying to achieve right here. Okay, so you are going to take in your pocket and now top stitch on your main fabric on the right side, as I'm doing right here. Okay, so I'm top stitching on exactly my main fabric, which is the front part of my short pants. So I've run the first stitch on top, and I'm going to run the second stitch right now. So I did this by taking my pocket inside. Okay, so after running these 2 stitches, I'm going to bring out my pocket. Now you see, so before I now drag my pocket and now stitch up everything very well. Okay, so this is the essence of the whole thing. So I did it for the 2 parts of my pocket and also fix my zipper fly. There's nothing to worry about. Tutorial on how to fix your zipper fly and also your pockets will be in the comment section, so you just have to click on that. It's very detailed and beginners friendly. So I'm going to take that aside now and fix my back pocket for my back short. So I remove one part of my back short so I can show you how to do this. So from the waist I measured 3 inches, as you can see I'm doing right here. So now I'll fold this short into 2 and notch the middle, okay, on the waist area. So I'll get my back pocket, just one part of it, or just one part of it, and I'm going to run a stitch. Okay, I'll fold in by 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch first before notching. That's what I would have done. I run a stitch. So I've done that now, as you can see. So now I'll go ahead and fold this my pocket into 2 and mark a chalk. I'm not going to notch. Okay, so that chalk mark I made will be on exactly that line. So you can see that middle part where I notched, I extended to this 3 inches. So it's going to be on that point, and I'll arrange it properly and pin. So I'm going to fold all the sides of this my pocket using just 1/2 inch. So you can actually fold and iron this. All right, if you're not really good at doing this, or if you feel like you make a mistake or thereabout. So but if you are good like this, you can just fold in 1/2 inch all around and now use your pin to pin it down. Okay, so this is what I'm doing right here. Just take your time All right, so this video is just a little bit fast. That is why it's as if it's so fast right here, but just take your time and do this. All right, so by the time I do this, I'm going to stitch all around twice. Okay, so following the shape, you are going to stitch twice. So for the flap of this my cargo pockets, I'm going to separate these two pieces now. So this is for the two parts of our cargo pocket. So you are going to flip this to the wrong side, and at both sides I am going to stitch using just half of an inch at both sides. Okay, so I'm not going to touch that other end that is open. Okay, so by the time I stitch both sides half of an inch, I'll flip it to the right side. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to explain to you. When I flip it to the right side, this is what I'm going to have. So I'll run a stitch at the two sides and also at the top part. So now I've stitched my back pocket to my back short pants, and this is what I have. Run 2 stitches for that, already made jean vibe and all of that. Okay, so for my flap, this is the actual explanation I was trying to give. So all of these stitches, you're going to run them twice. All right, so now I'm going to get my cargo pocket, and I'm just going to remove that label I have for it. So now I'll be folding this into 2 to get the middle, which I've already notched. So I'm working with that widest part, which is that top part of 13 inches. Okay, so I now flip this now to the wrong side, and I'm going to go away by 2 inches from that my notch part at both sides. So I'll also repeat the same thing at the other end of my pockets. Okay, so that part where I notch is the largest part, which is that 13 inches. So at both sides I'll be marking 2 inches away from that notch, as you can see I've done right here. So now I'm going to get all these chalk marks to meet that notch I have at the center. All right, so the 2 inches I marked away from that notch, I'm going to bring them together like this, and they are going to be pleated on top of this my notch on the wrong side. This is the wrong side of my fabric. Okay, so you can see I did it for one side, and I'm also going to do it for the other side. I'll drag that 2 inches and pleat it exactly on top of that my notch I made. Okay, so this is what it's meant to be like, and I'll pin. Okay, so when I flip this to the front part, you can see what we have, because this is the type of pleat that we had for the cargo, for the one on our thumbnail actually. Yeah, so that is why. So iron these flats, and this is what I have. So you can see that this our pocket is actually reduced, and it now corresponds perfectly with the flap that will be covering it. Okay, so now the next thing to do is to cut out a piece that is very long to go around this pocket, and it's actually 2 inches wide. Okay, so now you're going to place it right side to your pocket, just this way, and pin. So you are going to place them right side and pin them all around and stitch all around. So at the edges it might be a little bit tricky, but just take your time and stitch this all around using just half of an inch. Okay, so guys, I've gone ahead to do that and also stitch this very well, but I'll show you how I achieved the other one, because you see these 2 pockets are not yet the same. Okay, so when you must have stitched this piece, you're going to fold in like this by 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so after folding this in, you're now going to get that part this way, fold that piece in, and you're going to run a stitch just on top of this twice. So when you do this, it's going to look exactly like this particular pocket. All right, so now I'm going to keep that aside now, because I want to join the front part of my pocket, trouser, to the back part. All right, so I place this, and one thing you should know is that by the time you place this, that pocket area is going to look a bit different because it's not curved. So you are going to just cut it out using the back part. Okay, so you can also have that normal shape. Okay, so after this, I'm going to join the 2 sides of this my trouser, of this my short pants, using just half inch. All right, so I actually weaved this, that I weaved out half of an inch while I was weaving, as you can see right here, and I've also fixed my pocket for one part. So you see how beautiful this is turning out already. So I'm yet to fix for the other part of my pocket, which I'll be showing you how to do right here. So we still have the center back of our pants still open. I'm here to stitch it up. Okay, so you're going to spread it out. All right, so it's going to look somewhat like a wrapper. Okay, so that thing which I showed you how to do, I've done that, and this is what I have. So now that piece which I have right there, I'm just going to come in by 1/2 inch this way. So I'm going to get the ends, that you see that part where I stitched on top. I'm going to pleat it on top of that 1/2 inch. Okay, so I'm going to double stitch on top. Okay, so I'll do the same thing right here. I'm going to mark 1/2 inch, and that edge I'm going to pleat it right on top of that chalk mark and double stitch. So by the time you double stitch, this is what it will look like. So now I'll get my shorts, and I'm going to now get this my pocket, fold it into 2, get the middle part of it, and I'll also mark my chalk on it this way. You can see. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to make sure that this chalk mark I have on my pocket is on the center. So on the joints I have for the front part of my trouser and the back, that chalk mark I made will be right there on the center. So I also hem my short, as you can see right here. Okay, you can actually do that. I don't really need to show you all that. Okay, so you hem. By the time you join the 2 sides of your short pant, also hem. Okay, so I actually want my pocket to be on exactly the first line. Okay, because I actually ran 2 stitches for the hemming of my short. Okay, so carefully pin your pocket on your trouser this way so that it doesn't shift or move. So after pinning this, I'm going to fold. Okay, so you can see what I'm doing now. The remaining allowance I have on this piece is what I'm going to fold. So I'll fold and pin this all around. So like I said, I want my pocket to be exactly on the first line I have, on the first thread I have on my hem. So you can see it right there. So you can actually decide to go by 1 inch or 2 inches from your stitch on your hem. So if you want your trouser to be higher, your pocket to be higher, please, sorry for the mistakes. Okay, so just move that away this way and fold using just 1/2 inch all around, as you can see I'm doing right here, and stitch on top. So you're just going to run only 1 stitch. Okay, you're not going to run your stitch 2 times on it. Okay, so now I've done that, and you can see what I have. So the next thing is to actually fix this our flap, this our pocket flap on it. So from my pocket I'll mark 1/2 inch upward this way. So this 1/2 inch I marked, I'm going to get my flap of my pocket and place it. Okay, so by the time I place it this way, I'm going to pin, but I have to get the middle of this as well so that it can be of the same size at both sides. Okay, so I now place it on that 1/2 inch, as you can see this way. So when I now place it, I'm going to run a straight stitch across on top like this, using just that same 1/2 inch. So guys, I've gone ahead to do this, and this is what I already have. I'll remove my pin and try to cover this so you can see. So by the time you cover this, you realize that this doesn't really lap. So on that top part, I'm going to run 2 stitches on top. Okay, so I've done that, and you can see what I have, and this is like the perfect cargo pants you've always wished for, right? So now the next thing I'm going to do now is to join my short on the back crotch area, because I'm here to do that. All right, so I'm going to bring it right sides facing each other this way after I must have weaved all of this part. So I'm going to join only on the crotch area, all right, using just 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch. Okay, so after that, now this is what I have. So the next is to join the center part of it. So to join the center part of it, you have to bring your front crotch and your back crotch and make sure they align at the middle, just this way. So I'm going to pin this down. So when I pin this down, I will now stitch, okay, from one end of the short all the way to the other end using just 1/2 inch. Okay, so I hope this is clear enough to you right here, right? So after joining, guys, this is what I have. I just use 1/2 inch. So the only thing left is to fix our band. We fixed our pockets and everything, and it's looking so nice. So now I'll unzip this my short pant, and I'm going to measure around my waist what I have, starting from that my zipper fly, because it's not meant to be seated. I'm meant to include everything because the band will be covering up all of these things. Okay, so when I measured everything, I had 38 inches including my zipper fly, so I added extra 2 inches to that, making it 40 inches. So now I folded my fabric into two, then from the top part I folded again. So for the height of my band right here, I'll be marking out 3 inches so that after stitching up I'll be having 2 inches. So now on fold I have 20 inches because I folded of course. So I now separated this band and I have 2 pieces of this. All right, so I'm going to get one part of my band on the right side. I'm going to place it to the waist part of my trouser and stitch all around to the other end. So while you're stitching this, you're going to leave like 2 inches spaces away from your zipper fly and make sure it exceeds just this way. As you can see, I've done right here. Okay, so now I'm going to trim off that excess zipper I have, and this is what it's going to look like. So I'll get the other side of my band, the other band I have, sorry. So I'll make sure it aligns, okay, making sure that it passes. You see that zipper fly area, you see that it passes it, right? So I'll go up by just half of an inch on that second band. I'm not going to start stitching from the very end. So by the time I go up by half of an inch, I'll now stitch the top part all around. So I'll also mark it right here. So on this second band, I'll go up from that point by half of an inch. So I'll stitch from that half of an inch very close to my zipper fly, and now stitch the upper part. So all around, this is what I have. So I hope you now understand my explanation perfectly. On that point, I stitched from my zipper flyer and I stitched the top part using just half of an inch. So I'm going to cut off that excesses now. Okay, so this will give it a very perfect fitting and beauty, right? So now I'll flip this now to the right side, of course, by trimming off that part which didn't want to really blend in very well. Okay, so I'm going to flip this way to the right side because the final stitch for this band will be made right here now. So by the time I do this now, you know that half of an inch space that was left, okay, that is what you are going to fold in, because if you stitch this up entirely on your band, you will not have the opportunity to actually fold this in to get rid of those rough edges. Okay, so I'm going to fold in now. You can see that half an inch which I left. So you now fold it in this way, and you now run a very straight stitch at the very tip of this band. So you do it at the tip and also at the top part, okay, to also get this already made chain vibe. Okay, so you stitch this all around and also stitch at the top part just on top for that decorative stitch of beauty. Okay, all around. So now this is what I went ahead to do, and you can see how neat it's looking. So I actually fixed just one belt loop to this, so I'll be sharing with you here how I went about that. Okay, so now what I did actually is that I zipped up this my trouser to show you how to fix your buttonhole. So your buttonhole should be the one overlapping the other. So my buttonhole is going to be on top, so that by the time I fix my button at the other side, it will come out. Okay, so now for this my belt loop, I actually have this piece which is 3 inches long and 1 inch wide. So you are going to fold in both ends this way, okay, by at least 1/4 an inch. You run a stitch. When you fold one end, you run a stitch. You fold the other side, you also run a stitch. So when you do this, you are actually going to come up with this. All right, this is exactly what I did. It's of the same length and same size. So this is what you're going to have. So when you now have this, you're actually going to get your trouser or your pants or your shorts, whatever it is. On the waist area, you're going to mark 3 inches from your zipper flyer inwardly like this, from the part where you have your zipper fixed. So I'm just going to get the right side of that my belt loop and place it this way up, and now face it down and bring it inside this way. So you can see what I've done so far. So the right side this way and fold it in like this. So you're going to pin this down and stitch, like double stitch. Okay, so you also get the other rough end and now double stitch. So I believe this is quite simple and easy. So when you want to fix your second belt loop, you measure like 5 to 6 inches, but the first measurement you take from your zipper to fix your first belt loop should be 3 inches. All right, so guys, I did this and altogether I had 6 belt loops, which is totally optional. Okay, so I just fixed it for the sake of this tutorial. And after that, that was just it. And thank you all so much for watching. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. See you in my next one.
And please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Bye.